This is Circle Back, the debut episode right here on the Circles Off YouTube channel. This is the show where we review the past week in gambling Twitter. I'm Rob Pizzola, joined by a couple of colleagues from Forward Progress Watch-Alongs, Jason Cooper, Jeff Feinberg. We got Jacob Gramenia producing behind the computer desk over there as well. And guys, we're not going to start anywhere other than Steve Fezzik, because there was actually so many things that happened with Fezzik in the past week to 2 weeks that we could have honed in on here. But I want to start with what I think is maybe like the Mona Lisa of tweets because of the outcome and also because of the involvement from GRP in this one. So for those that don't know, Steve Fezzik, very polarizing personality on gambling Twitter. He won a couple of super contests back in the day. He's known for being sharp, but he also sells picks. And some people don't like the tactics that he uses. He tweets what I thought was a dig at Forward Progress. The sharps, in quotation marks, tell me that Atlanta -1.5, -110 is a great bet. New Orleans +2.5, -110 is a great bet. Be careful out there. So the be careful out there, listen, I can't say for sure it was a dig on Forward Progress, but I think that's what it was. This game lands exactly 2, with GRP, another polarizing character who's gaining popularity on Twitter, coming in and saying basically like the number doesn't matter, you got to bet the right side. And our resident shit disturber, Clive Bixby, of course found this out right away, like finds the tweet, final score, exactly 2. Fezzik, to me, there's something about the way he tweets that really rubs me the wrong way. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, I just want to say I appreciate him calling us sharp. That's very nice of him. But also, like, yeah, I think it's just the lack of self-awareness all around when it comes to any of his tweets. You said something where it's like, Fezzik has done a lot on Twitter over the last 2 weeks. You could have said that for the last 52 weeks and you would have been right. So, I mean, it's just the lack of self-awareness.
He's pretty evergreen. He's pretty evergreen. I like Fezzik. Clearly, he's been around a long time. He's been very successful. I don't think you could really debate that. My issue sort of comes with how, like, he can be so much at gambling. Can be an expert at, portray himself as an expert at, except when the light gets shined at him, then he's like my grandpa who turned the wrong way on a one-way street.
Yes.
I didn't know. You know. So that's the thing. Like, how can he be so proficient and so smart and see it so well on so many issues, except when you sort of when the light gets shined on him, it's like it's very shaky with interpretation.
Yeah, I sat next to Fezzik at Bet Bash a couple of years ago. There was the infamous panel with Darren Ravel, and Fezzik was defending me in that panel. But I said outright to the audience that was there, like, I don't know how this guy tweets some of the things. Like, just take a second and think before you send a tweet and what the possible ramifications are if this blows up. And there's some people who buy into the mentality of like any publicity is good publicity. I used to believe strongly in that, but now I'm kind of changing my tune as you see more of the comments. We got Diggs on Twitter. Diggs is a professional sports bettor, pretty, you know, he keeps to himself under an alias, but does fairly well betting the NFL, one of the larger bettors out there. We have another situation from Fezzik this week. Hitman, who's part of Forward Progress, releases Nico Collins under 79.5 receiving yards as part of his service. He uses, you know, that number to track, but there's other numbers, 80.5 out there, 78.5. Fezzik comes in, and he then releases the Nico Collins under afterwards, 13 minutes later than Hitman, after the number has already moved, and he ends up releasing Nico Collins under 77 receiving yards at the time. Of course, poetry, Diggs says, because as you would know, as you are aware that we're covering this, Nico Collins ends with 2 catches, 78 yards, blows out his hamstring in the process, and Hitman wins the bet on the release. Fezzik loses. Gambling Twitter rejoices, at least the ones that don't like Fezzik. He does admit to it, by the way. He says he did lose when it came to Nico Collins under. Too late. The sharps like Hitman 438, which by the way is not Hitman.
It's
real.
428.
It's 428. So you tagged the wrong guy. So there's another Hitman out there that doesn't know what's going on that got dragged into this conversation. But he points out he got it, closer to 80 and won.
He also followed it up again by saying that if he finds a play that he likes and it's somebody else who posted it, he feels like that he can share it with his audience because this is a good play. Why would I not share it with my audience?
I have strong feelings on this. I think this is lame. I mean, lame is the word I can come up. If you're paying for someone's service, you're expecting that the plays are coming from them. We're bringing this up, but this is not the first time this happened with Fezzik and Hitman in the last couple weeks. There was another release that Hitman gave out where Fezzik gave it out after the fact as well. And it just feels it feels scummy.
In some ways, if you're paying for Fezzik, I don't mind potentially if he's a hyper aggregator of other things. I'm not making this a promotion to do it, but in some ways, as a consumer, be like, well, he's hyper aggregating all these other people worthy of selling packages at a high price. There's a total microscope when you're selling picks.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's I don't know, the window seems really small to be able to make your clients happy, to make Diggs satisfied, who's clearly, he has a part-time job, I think, taking in the content or being an ombudsman of all of these services.
I would call him a gatekeeper of gambling
for
Twitter,
sure.
Diggs. Yeah.
But you all these guys who are selling the services, I assume clearly they are getting as much out of their pick before they even send it out to their services. So they know they want to make this bet.
Yep.
They are then making it themselves where they can or putting it into their system so the people who they use to make bets are making it.
Yep.
And then you get an email.
It's a good point. Hyper aggregation, as you call it, that can be valuable.
Yeah.
If someone is taking a consensus of all these things that are
And
out
they're
there,
paying for it, right?
Yeah. Now, definitely, I would say chasing this is chasing steam.
Yes.
In this, it's probably not value. Anyone can do this if they want.
Just look at a board. And
just the board lights up and it moves, and you try to get it before it moves. There's no value in this, but I find it incredibly hypocritical, me personally. We've had Fezzik on some of our Forward Progress live watch-alongs during games before. He's came on, challenged me on some of these things about he is such a preacher of how important the numbers are, right? He came from an actuarial background, and he's a pure numbers guy. So for him to give out a play at a worse price, you can say the number is still kind of good, but it's do you remember when we gave out picks on best bets, Forward Progress, and we used to put good up to this number, and he would make fun of us?
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, it's it's good at it was good at 3. It's not so good now at 3 minus 120. It's not so good at 3.5. He made fun of us for the same thing that he's doing as part of his service.
And he's getting paid for it too, right? People are paying for this. At the very least, we were doing it as
This
fun.
goes back to my sort of original sentiment in that he can be an expert at all things like gambling and etiquette and rules and knowing how it used to be and how it is. But then when it's here, it's I don't know.
But that's so many people are like that. I don't want to single him out. I think it's unfair. People can be very hypocritical with things. They, when it works to your advantage, use it to your advantage. When it works to your disadvantage, you're I don't know. But I'm with you on that. It just feels to me like this is everything that Fezzik claims to not stand for, but then does it.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing I want to add to this is that I know that Fezzik and Hitman are friends or whatever, but as I would call myself a friend of Hitman, this bothers me because you're just, again, chasing Hitman's steam. It's why It bothers me that he's doing this, right? Because if you want to be an aggregator, that's fine. But I feel like Hitman, I don't want to speak for him.
No.
But I don't think he would appreciate someone being an aggregator.
Hitman is a really, really nice guy.
Yeah.
For those who've met Hitman or dealt with him, he's a great dude. I don't want to speak on his behalf either, but in my shoes, let's say I put out a play.
But you've done this. You in a past life.
Yeah.
People, and it was more of like a written work, and you would see like that is.
Oh, of course.
That
People
is clearly
piggyback on it
mine.
and claim it as their own all the time. It just happens. It's upsetting. I find that very upsetting. Like if I was putting out plays, which I'm not selling plays, but if I was and releasing them, and then someone else was just coming and releasing them to their client base as well, that would piss me off, whether or not they were a friend of mine.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what.
This one, because it's a prop, it's like very different in some instances than like a side.
Yeah.
Where there's only 15 games on a slate.
True.
And a lot of these professionals, we're all like looking at for the most part the same information. Or I shouldn't include myself in that at all. You're all looking at the same information. Sure, you have different like inputs for models or what have you.
Yep.
We're like, okay, I guess they came out the same side. Like the prop, the specific player prop, that's where it's like, listen, I had wandering eyes at tests in school.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not about like if I can get any help getting an answer, like I was trying to get an answer.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you.
Wandering Eyes is good.
I'm very interested in what people think about this debate. Put it down in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts on Fezzik this week and the chasing steam on another release. I'm sure we'll get more Fezzik on this show in the weeks to
He
come.
can't help himself.
He really can't.
And listen, I've got problems too with sometimes I can't help myself
Yeah,
on the
I'm in the
internet.
same boat. Sometimes
But there is truly nothing he won't attempt to dip his toe in on, either like sports gambling, geopolitical. That's all.
I think
I'm guilty of it too.
I think a lot of times he leans into it. I mean, Fezzik released, not released. He put out a tweet saying to bet Purdue money line in the first round of the NCAA tournament a few years back as a minus 8,000 favorite. They lost. Most people would never do that again. He leans into it.
Yeah, the dude who was supposed to eat shit because Florida State lost disappeared.
Yeah, he's gone. He's gone.
Look,
We never heard
Fezzik's
from
like, I'm still here. Blue Horseshoe's still here. It's still standing. So credit to like, I agree. You got to lean into it. You got to
Stick to your guns.
Yeah.
You got to wear your losses. I think it kind of makes you.
Yeah.
Like it humanizes you when you like can wear your worst loss.
Totally agree with you. We'll move along here. Chalktober is over. Barstool Tate. Happy minus 1,000 October, everyone. Basically, what he was attempting to do here is roll over the winnings from minus 1,000 odds every day of the month to turn $100 into 2K. Ended up losing on Alabama's loss to Vandy. So I think it was the fourth day, if I recall.
Fourth or fifth.
You were tracking this.
I was tracking.
Let's be real here, Jason.
Day four.
Day four. You were rooting against him.
Okay, here's the thing. I was rooting against him for our content, but I'm a big Ohio Tate fan. I love this guy. I think he's hilarious. I think he's a very good content guy. Not a good bettor, but that's fine. I think he acknowledges it and he wears it.
Yeah.
But, obviously I was rooting against it. The second I saw that he played a parlay of Alabama to beat Vanderbilt, and then I forget what the other, I think it was Georgia, I'm like, you lost. Like, this is the one. So, I don't know. I wasn't happy to see him go down, but it kind of was at the same time.
I don't follow Barstool Tate personally. I actually like a lot of Barstool personalities. I just never have come across his stuff in particular. As soon as you posted this in our group chat, I don't know what it is about when like content creators or big social personalities try to do these types of challenges. I'm immediately invested in rooting for them to lose.
Yeah, same.
Well, especially one like this where it's just so, like he just feels like he's automatically going to win because it's minus 1,000.
right.
How could I possibly lose a minus 1,000? And look at the way he worded it. He worded it so apologetically. I sincerely apologize to all who tail.
But you know what? I actually agree with. Listen, a lot of people would tail something like this.
Yeah.
Really, it's a 30-game parlay. It's just happening over different days.
Exactly.
You're just rolling
It's
over
just
the
a
winning.
20-to-1 parlay. That's all it is.
Yes.
It's literally all it is.
But so many people think that like minus 1,000 odds it's like, I hate to use the L word, but it's like a lock. It's unfathomable that you could possibly not win all
the way
these minus
tweets,
1,000 bets.
he says, I did not think number 1 in the country, Alabama, would lose to Vanderbilt.
Well,
Well,
neither
of
did the
course you
books.
didn't
Yeah,
think
like,
that.
No one.
Yeah, like-
You bet it. You thought they'd win. That's why you bet it in this scenario.
But it's also like a lack of thinking probabilistically, right? Because there's always going to be a probability of something happening in sports.
Yes.
You can't say like Alabama is 100% to beat Vanderbilt. You can't. So it's always relative to the odds. I'm just kind of like, I get really, this is like a very boomer take. You'll make fun of me for this.
I can't wait.
But I hate like the social challenges. Or especially as they pertain to betting, and especially when people are trying to like roll over bets to turn a small amount into something big. Like the ladder challenges, all that stuff, it doesn't sit well with me.
No, because they're also just usually just terrible, and it's the same thing we talked about earlier, where you're probably getting a worse number than these guys are giving out. Not that any of these challenges are going to be good numbers or anything like that, but just by virtue of the amount of people seeing it and eyes on it, you're probably going to get a worse number at the same bet.
Yeah.
It's useless. It's all for getting clicks, and it's for
It
engagement.
works. It works.
It's engagement. It does work because either people cheer for you to lose like us, or people tail you and they're invested with you.
Because they're investing a small amount of money.
Yeah.
So in this case, well, not small. Sorry, I shouldn't use that term. But
Yeah.
$100 to win
It's all
2K,
relative.
right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's a long-term engagement from whoever's tailing you, whoever is following along. And in worst case, they lose to 100. In the best case, they win potentially 2,000. So it's just easy engagement to get. But it's a good lesson being brought up here to people who think that minus 1,000 is just going to be automatic. But this is essentially, like you said, it's just a parlay. And if it's every day in October, I don't know what the plan was, but it's a 31-leg parlay.
I mean, look at that day one bet. No double play in top of first in the Mets-Brewers game. Like, there's no way this guy's assigning a real probability to that. He's just picking a random thing and saying,
He's like, that seems like it won't happen, minus 1,300, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I mean, listen, I don't really have much of an opinion on this stuff.
I saw you internalizing this for
Well, I
quite a
don't
bit.
think it's, because you've seen these contests. I don't think it's that they're that harmful. I think there's like way more harmful like engagement gambling Twitter out there.
Yep.
To Ohio's Tate, like it's very competitive out there, and within that Barstool ecosystem, it's also very competitive.
That's true.
So it's like anything I can do, like to get this thing to like day 22, to have like Portnoy or Big Cat, notice I have something going, and then I can get in maybe more in like their streams and stuff. Like it's just, anything to like get
anything to compete with Jersey Jerry shitting his pants on the bus, which may or may not have happened.
It didn't happen. He admitted to it, and then go ahead.
I mean, like quick before we like really change base, but I know it's gotten a lot of traction. Like those Mets watch-alongs that they have done are highly entertaining.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I don't want to steal the line, but I mean, I don't even know Star Wars to say it, but I know the guys in New York at like their sports talk radio were saying it's like the bar in Star Wars. Like the mutant characters. Just sort of like watching them watch.
So you're saying the Mos Eisley Cantina?
Yeah, I guess one of those. That's what it's like. And now that I
Why?
think
Because they all look like aliens, kind of. Like,
sure,
it's Clemmer's,
they're all like charming and weird, and they're sports fanatics. And I say that like you put me, I could fit right in. Like I wouldn't be out of place watching my favorite team
Oh my God.
amongst that group. So Portnoy's done an incredible job making. Like grouping these whack packers, as I like to call them.
What did you call him there?
Whack packers.
Whack packers. Okay.
That's so good.
Well, like in the same way Stern
Yeah.
had his
big time.
whack packers.
Yeah.
Like he is Stern and these are the whack pack.
All right, enough Stern references. We're trying to cater to a younger audience here. We don't need to.
There we go.
We don't need the boomer takes.
Well, whatever.
For the last time, me and Jeff we are millennials in the same group as you.
Yeah, but
We're also millennials.
we got to double check the graph.
we're also
we'll look into this.
I'm not
Do you
I'm
like
not sure about that.
Well, I believe it's the case, and we're gonna stick with that for now. Biggie versus the books or the book. I'm not gonna rehash this entire Twitter thread because it was exhaustive. You got someone at Biggie's Bets who comes out and basically alerts people of a shady site known as Bet105. Bet105 is an unregulated crypto book that's just popped up recently. Some members of gambling Twitter, either knowingly or unknowingly in some cases, endorse them. Joey Knish, Rufus Peabody, unknowingly, Elihu as well. And this Biggie guy comes out and says he's being scammed by this book. He placed a bunch of live bets. They're claiming software error, posts a long thread. Bet105 responds with specifics of the situation. They go back and forth. Really, there's not a lot more clarity on this situation right now because it's a, he said versus she said type of situation. I'm curious, when you first saw this story and you had a guy come out and accuse a sportsbook of basically robbing him in this sense, was your immediate reaction to side with the bettor that was making the accusation?
I'm always skeptical of these things because usually the bettor making the allegation is like, obviously did something that is against TOS or just is shady in general. But like, if we want to get like, I'll let Jeff talk about his initial reactions because I have like I think I deviate from where you guys stand on this.
Interesting.
I mean, it's always, anytime you see someone like yelling at the clouds at a sports book on Twitter.
Yes.
Like something clearly went up here. I don't totally have all the information, but we've seen so many shady things, especially like going back in time, like in the UK and even in some of like the shops where you're just supposed to get the money, how they have created such roadblocks and even call see videos of people having the police called on them just trying to like collect a winning ticket.
Yeah.
I don't know. And all I'll say is it's never worked out well in the long run for the dude who just starts like screaming at the clouds at a sports book.
Yes. So this situation I think was very interesting because you have three people that, again, I will say knowingly or unknowingly, in the case of Rufus, endorsed this book as being like, reliable, you can go bet there, we know the ownership type of situation. Those three people, Knish, Rufus Peabody, Elihu, there's a large portion of the population that doesn't like these three people. They have a lot of haters. Elihu moderated the old Right Angle Sports Discord and basically banned a lot of people. Whether right or wrong, I can't tell you, but he banned a ton of people from that Discord. Rufus, you've got, that from your perspective, he's not an unlikable guy. You've beefed with him before. Knish, I think, is a love him or hate him type of thing. Calls himself Joey Libs sometimes. That rubs people. So you have three people who've come outright and said, oh, go bet at this spot. Then a guy comes out and says, oh, this is scamming me. I think that's like a nuclear bomb going off, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up some good points. People who can have like personalities that people have strong opinions on.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't matter what the information is at this point. It literally doesn't matter. No one, people are like. So
this guy played it right in terms of like riling up the mob. We see that a lot of times in like regular media. Like, there's some red meat here.
Yes.
I can, get these guys going. But Bet105, to their credit, they seem to have had some receipts. We've all gotten got by like knowing we're betting a bad line and then them saying sorry. Like it just is what it is. We've all signed up for it. It's probably happened to all of us. I'd say Bet105 kind of handled it well.
Well, so people are that's an interesting perspective as well, because the first response is like, okay, well, this guy's posting Bet105. Why don't you make a statement? Why don't you post stuff? I'll explain why I think they didn't, but you had some thoughts on it.
So, if you just want to explain what he did, I feel like it's better just to contextualize exactly what happened and why Bet105 maybe, I guess, took that profit of his away, or what he claims to be.
So I've lived through lots of situations like this. It's not going to be a surprise to anyone who's watched content on this channel before or listened to content on this channel. I used to consult for sportsbooks. I've been on the sportsbook side of things in a commercial capacity. One of the things, I don't want to like pretend like I'm a martyr, I'm like the best guy in the world, but one of the things that was really important to me when I was dealing with sportsbooks is you want your player experience to be at the best possible, right? Somebody complains, they think they got screwed, refund them their bet, keep them around type of situation. You want them to have the best experience. And whenever people used to tweet at us with situations like this, where it was like, oh, I'm getting scammed by XYZ book, it would upset me. I'd be like, why are we doing this to? And then I would follow up internally with the trading team, and they would always explain a very different side of the story. Whether it was like, well, this person was actually betting from 7 different accounts at once, and they're only posting this as violation of terms of service. Or they were taking advantage, like the game started, we left the line up by accident, we decided to take it off. Now, whether or not that's right or wrong is a different conversation, but this isn't the full side of the story. People always want the explanation from the sportsbook. But in my experience, again, whenever there's like some sort of big scandal, people don't withdraw. It actually doesn't happen. Everyone is up in arms on social. Yeah. Oh, I'm taking my money out right away. You never see an uptick in it doesn't happen. It's all just fake. And the minute, and I've done this before, I was on the wrong end of this, the minute you respond and you start posting details of the situation, there's actually another mob that gets upset at you for posting the details. They're like, oh, I'll never bet here if you're going to post my bets publicly or my accountant. You cannot win in these situations. I think the best thing to do is stay silent and it blows over.
Yeah.
But in this situation, I would guarantee you that I'm not saying that Bet 105 is right, but you didn't get the full story from the bettor in the first place.
I would totally agree with you in that I have seen people, or myself, be unhappy with something at a sports book. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to bet here again. Next time they have the best number on that golfer I want to bet on or the game, I'm just freaking going to bet there.
Yeah.
At the same time, there are sports books that I really enjoy that I've seen people be like, oh, that place robbed me. I'd never bet there. And in my head, well, they've always been great to me.
Exactly.
I've never had an issue. Literally never had an issue. I think it's one of the best sports books I've ever dealt with. So truthfully, I don't know what your issue is. It's probably your fault, but I sure as hell ain't going to stop playing there. So, yeah, I mean, I would agree. I don't think it ever really matters.
Yes.
But there's always somewhere else truly to play.
Right.
So my biggest problem here is not like how I guess the sportsbook handled it publicly afterwards or how Biggie handled it. My problem here is that I believe that like the books already have like a massive edge, right? Like that's the whole point of sports betting is that they're providing a service for us, right?
Yeah.
And they need to get their cut, which is fair. But in this scenario, Bet 105 is saying our software system fucked up. Yep. We failed to suspend in-play alternatives, leaving it some up for over an hour. That's your fault. And just because someone took advantage of that and exposed that, not only like he could have tried to go about it a little differently, hidden the fact that that was available, and hit him over time and progressively, like a leak on a ship, just progressively stab at them.
Yeah.
Seems like this guy went full in as much as he could. They figured it out, they addressed it. But my problem is that you fucked up.
Yep.
This is your fault.
Yep.
Your fault. So you shouldn't be punishing the guy who's taking advantage of it. It's like if you're ordering something online and your expected delivery date is a week from now, but it delivers 4 months from now. Like, what are you doing to compensate the person who you've basically screwed over? You screwed him over. This is your fault for doing it.
Yes.
Like, figure it out. That's my angle.
So, listen, there's never going to be we're never going to come to a consensus on whether that's right or wrong.
Yeah.
I grew up in a betting space where, listen, you're a bettor, you take your shots, and if it gets voided, you understand that that's what comes with the situation if you bet a bad price. And if you're betting a line that should have been taken off an hour ago, in my opinion, that's within the realm of possibility where the sportsbook would void it. We don't have all the information here, right? And we never will. Like we're basing these off screenshots that are posted.
Yes.
Would you feel the same if 10 accounts were betting that exact same thing at the same time?
Yeah, honestly, yes. Like I would still feel the same way. There's a different reason to why you're betting it. It's multi-accounting. You can't do that. That's different.
Yeah.
If you're saying that it's because you left an alternate lineup and you didn't take it down, the error is on you.
Right.
Then you you have. Oh, listen, sportsbooks have ultimate control at the end of the day. They can ban and not pay out whoever they want, especially unregulated ones, right? Which is why it's always important to play a regulated sportsbook. But if that's how they want to go about it, that's fine. I'm not going to say I'm never going to play there again. I just think that it's. Listen, sports betting already gets a bad rap. It's just another thing that makes it shitty to me.
Yeah.
If you're going to bet at a book called like Bet 105 and it only takes cryptocurrency,
You know what you're getting into.
then like you've got
Well, yeah,
like
it's
Rob
unregulated
said,
space,
Like I'm
yeah.
going to throw these shots, but if it comes back like it didn't work,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like you got to just
But-
suck it up. And maybe that's
Yeah.
a defeated attitude, and
Yeah.
I get like clearly they should pay the piper in some way. I think they indicated they'll pay off one of them or two of them, maybe.
I think
read that wrong,
what they did was they paid the original wager that he made at an error line every time, but didn't pay the duplicates. So basically, now this is, again, we don't know the full story because he denies that was the case. They say that was the case. We don't know.
Yeah.
But they're claiming that they deleted the duplicate bets and they left the original. So if he bet something and then continued to bet it over and over, they paid him out on the original, or not. In some cases, it would have lost, and they deleted the duplicates. For me, it's really challenging because you know Bet 105 in the space is known as a book that will take bets, and they're trying to run at lower margins.
Mm-hmm.
I have no sympathy for guys who are getting accounts there and trying to shoot angles. Like I personally don't. I think that they're offering a service to like a higher end bettor, more so of a pro type. That's valuable for some people, but whether or not they should be allowed to, listen, unregulated space, but if we talk about the regulated space, that's a completely different conversation. What I will say is if you're forced to take every single bet that's made with you and you can't, there's no like getting out of a bad line, I do strongly believe that affects the product down the road. Like I like having a lot of variety and offerings available to me. If I now have to go bet at a sportsbook and they're like, we'll take $10 now, but the rest is going to get referred to trader every single time because we can't risk a bad price. I don't want that. I never want that.
They need a safety net, and you agree to it when you sign up with the terms of service. So obviously, like there's, we don't know the full story. There's going to be situations where the sportsbook does something shitty. Something where the bettor's done something shitty. I don't know if we'll ever find the perfect middle there, but I agree with Rob on that.
And like, listen, if you've got 10 Bet 105 accounts,
But
like all the power to you, but like, I don't really have much sympathy.
yeah. Listen, I'm not saying I know anything about the situation. I'm just saying from experience, whenever you get these situations where someone comes out of the woodwork and they're like, I got screwed for. There's usually, and in my experience, not usually. There's always an explanation as to why.
Yeah.
We don't know the full story, but $50 bankrolls. Alex Monahan, one of the faces of a company called Odds Jam, gets a DM from someone that says, "Hey, my bankroll is about $50. What strategy should I start with for sportsbooks like blank?" And he responds saying, "If your bankroll is $50, you should quit gambling and get a job. Sorry in advance for unit shaming, keeping it real." Jackson Blackwell, just another Twitter personality, comes out here and basically says Alex is a loser, shouldn't be unit shaming people. There's a lot of people out there, that they can bet whatever they want type of situation. And this one caught my attention because personally, I'm not an Alex Monahan fan.
Neither am I.
I would say there's not many people that I dislike more than his online persona. I get it. He's building a brand. He's trying to grow it. He's actually successfully done that, but I don't like it. But I actually think this is good advice. I really do. I don't believe you should unit shame people. Everyone can bet what they want. But if someone is really trying to start from scratch with a $50 bankroll, I don't think you should do that, ever. because you're going to get into a situation down the road, and Johnny talks about this on Circles Off a lot as well, where let's say you are successful with a $50 bankroll, you grow it, you 10x it to 500, and then you grow that a little bit more. At some point, you're going to get cut. You're going to start getting limited at a lot of sports books, especially the recreational ones. And you will look back on that down the road and be like, why the hell did I blow these accounts for such small bets? So to me, I actually agree with this advice in terms of build that bankroll up before you actually start betting seriously.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Like, you should be able to set aside more than $50 if you want to like actually do this as a real thing. If you're invested in this, then you need a way bigger bankroll than $50. My biggest mistake as a sports bettor early on was doing exactly what this guy did. I was betting like 10, 20 bucks like 3 years ago, and I got tons of accounts limited betting the smallest amount. So there's like a myth out there that if you're not betting enough, you're not going to get limited. That's not true. If you're getting CLV, they're most likely going to limit you. And I regret that so much because I've wasted so many good accounts that I could have had and utilized now that I will never have access to ever again because they've limited me on that.
But hang on. You're right. However, the tweet that's the conversation here is he said you should quit gambling and get a job.
Okay, yes.
He's not saying that you should do this good advice. He's saying basically you're a loser, you only have $50 for betting. Now, if he nicely says $50 isn't enough to start because if you're successful, what we said here, this is pretty mean. You know? It's a better way to approach it.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't really understand. I mean, maybe Alex is clearly trying to like get engage in a response, but as someone like I watch football on Sundays with a group of buddies. Some of them work in these towers down here, make a lot of money, live in nice homes, or work in those hospitals a few blocks away. And they show me how much they're betting and how happy they are to have like a $20 bet that hits. And it's like so I don't think having a job is anything to do with it.
I agree. Listen, that's a very, Jacob brings up a good point. I don't like Alex because his persona, he comes across as an asshole. I've never met him. I don't know him, but it seems like an asshole. And like he took a private DM here, posted it to Twitter, said you guys should quit gambling and get a job. Now, I don't think the guy should quit gambling. I don't think he needs to get a job.
I think he has a job. I'm going to assume he has a job. I'm going out on a limb.
I think he has a job.
To say he has a job. He's just like seen enough of these goddamn commercials and he's finally getting an account. The appropriate response from Alex would be like, listen, with all due respect, your bankroll's $50, bet for fun.
Yeah.
Bet your favorite team, bet your favorite player, bet against the guys you hate.
Yes.
Like, that would be my advice. Beyond the fact that you both bring up good points about you're probably wasting an account for when you get comfortable. But for $50 as your bankroll, I don't want to... Like, I hope this comment doesn't come off as me playing Alex, but like, why do you need a strategy? Like, who cares if you've got like a 55-45 edge on a goddamn game?
No.
Like, just bet the games you want to bet the games you're going to watch. Screw really a strategy.
Well, if your bankroll's $50 and you're betting, 1 unit, 1% of bank, you're betting 50 cents a game.
Yes.
Like, at that point, bet 50 cents a game if you want to bet 50 cents a game. But if you're talking about, if you ask somebody what strategy should I start with, I think the very immediate response is exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Like you should just bet recreationally, bet for fun.
And you won't get limited making your goober recreational bets.
Yeah, absolutely. And one place you won't get limited is Pinnacle Sportsbook. They've been in business for the past 25 years. We got NHL season around the corner, NBA season around the corner. Bet with a sportsbook that is trusted and respected in market. Pro bettors have been betting there for decades. Use code HAMMER if you do sign up for Pinnacle. You must be 19 plus, not available in the US. And as always, please play responsibly. I found this next tweet hysterical. So by now, everyone should know who BookItWithTrent is. BookItTrent. He's developed quite a large following, whether you're a sharp bettor or a recreational bettor. You've probably heard of him. And he's got like this shtick, which we can talk about this shtick in a second, but it's the first time I ever found him was through this shtick, where it's like a 30-second type of video, I'm down bad type of situation. He's always having like a fake conversation with the wife about being down bad. He knows how he's going to win the money back. You know, he smashes some sort of bet on the game. And I honestly find this to be quite funny. I think it's a good shtick. Bill Krakenberger, Crackman, completely took this video out of context. Finally, an influencer putting up a realistic video of what it's like to be a degen gambler. It's not all rainbows, sunshine, lollipops, bouncing around with fake bets left and right. Hilarious.
This is so funny.
Because he didn't realize the comedy in this specific, you know, and what Trent is doing here. Now, this is polarizing for people as well. We talked about Fezzik being polarizing earlier. Trent is a polarizing individual. I think it's like a love him or hate him type of situation. Where do you stand on the content that, in a way, jokes about responsible gaming?
For starters, I'd like to say I find Bill very charming. He just represents like an old, like a bygone era of both gambling and Vegas specifically.
Yep.
You know, and Jason got me on the internet yesterday, so I'm now getting to the point where I can get got or believe something.
He got me too, yeah. This guy.
Like younger people are tweeting. I am past the point where Trent can I don't mean influence me in his picks, but I have passed the point in life where I could be susceptible to the dangers that Trent is feeding into.
Yeah.
So I see it as potentially harmful, or not potentially, it is harmful. At the same time, he's clearly built something very successful for himself. That's almost on a Vegas Dave level of, I don't know if this shit's real or fake in terms of these units. Are these bets for free?
The whale plays, you mean?
Yeah, but I can, I don't from afar, I kind of enjoy the shtick, but I could totally see how to a young college kid or someone getting into gambling or someone potentially getting hooked up with a credit streeter account for the first time could really find themselves in problem big just on a Trent ride the Trent wave.
So Crack's response here, Crack he's a professional bettor, has been for a long time, and he got by this type of content. And that actually kind of changes my perspective on it a little bit, because this is outlining the classic chase situation as a bettor, right? I'm down, I need to win it back, I'm gonna do it with all this. And I watch this and I know it's a joke, because I know Trent's personality. He doesn't take himself seriously. He often uses terminology like, shit's gonna hit tonight and this and that. But if you know the shtick, you know he doesn't take himself seriously. Yeah. But the problem is that there's a lot of people who don't know the shtick, right? That come in, and I still don't know. I still think some people are a little bit overboard, oh, Trent, this is horrible for the business and whatever. But I don't know. What do you think?
So I just want to sub in here and just say I thought that Crack's tweet was sarcastic. I didn't realize that he got. I thought it was sarcasm, but it seems
it looks pretty real to me. I don't know.
I don't know.
think Crack would be sending out a sarcasm.
That's not his brand. You're right. But when I saw it,
maybe, but
sarcasm doesn't translate well over Twitter.
So context is tough for sarcasm without a sideways tongue out emoji.
Why is the tweet all bold?
That's what made me think it was sarcasm. Tweet all bold, dots. I thought it was sarcastic.
I don't know. It looks pretty real to me.
Might be real.
I mean, we could be completely off base. Listen, this is not a shot at Crack.
Yeah, no,
he hasn't. He might have never seen Trent stuff before. You see it for the first time, and you're like, yeah.
It's like Grandpa finds a cat video and sends it to you. Oh yeah, that's funny, Grandpa. You gotta let it roll. He's trying, he's trying to bring up a good point. He doesn't understand the stick here. But one thing you did say, Rob, you said sarcasm doesn't translate over Twitter well. I could use that against you and say, well, Trent's sarcasm doesn't come over well because you know who he is. And it's like that. But, I wasn't necessarily thinking about, an older crowd coming stumbling on it. Like, Jeff was saying, he understands like the problems with gambling, but somebody who's just getting started, who is likelier to see Trent stuff, especially on TikTok, who's 19, 20, 21 years old, depending on your region, they're a lot more susceptible to stuff like this.
Okay, so then you get got. So you get, I feel like we've been saying that a lot today, but it works. So you get got, you're a young guy, you get got by Trent like once.
Yeah, no,
you gotta be smart enough.
I think
in
the
some ways,
But who's getting got by, like...
So I think the content's fine.
But I just mean, that's my point. Who's getting got by that?
Well,
in
Bill
some
is,
ways, it's like survival of the fittest. It's like Darwinism. It's like, okay, you just replied to like the prince... The email, someone telling you they're a prince, asking you for money.
Western Union money transfer.
You're the dude who thinks like the stripper actually loves you. Like at some point, Darwin has to, and I'll give more sympathy to someone getting taken by Trent once or twice than ever sending money to a prince. But at some point, okay, you'll quickly, I think, realize. After one meetup, you're like, I'm done with I see Trent. And if you can't see it after taking an L, if you do follow it, then you fall in line with the other people in society who I've mentioned who I don't want to say they deserve it.
Deserve is not the right word, but you
they're just, Darwin is just getting rid of you.
Yeah. I think the content's fine. Like what Trent does as a content, it's entertainment content. I think that's fine. But I think the only issue would be, for me, is if people are preaching a unit size that's not actually something they're betting. So if he's saying he's betting like 20 units, which, 20-unit whale bet to make the money back, I think that's something that's damaging. But a skit like this that says, rent's due, my wife's on my ass, and in a way that's like, this is very clearly satirical,
who's watching
right?
this that's down money as well, and they're
exactly.
and they see Trent's pick, and they're like, you know what? I'm gonna ride it with Trent. Like that's not happening. It's not like, believe me, I'm not standing for the Book It brand. I think that there's a lot of shameful things that they do. They have content creators that portray themselves as professionals, which I think is a joke. I just want realism in content, and to me, he's being real. You have some more.
So all I'll add in here is that what bothers me the most is that people are 18, 19, 20-year-old, even younger than that, who aren't going to be able to bet yet. That's going to be their first introduction to sports betting, which is fine. It's comedy, it's entertainment, but they see this guy betting $1,000, $5,000 on these plays. They don't realize that, hey, this guy's probably getting these as promo. These are bets that are given, like dollar amounts that are given to him by these companies as promotion. They're going to think to themselves, this guy loses every play and he's betting $1,000 sides. I could probably do that. Well, and it's a dangerous, dangerous game that you're playing when you follow that logic. And I'm not going to blame someone who's 18 years old or 19 years old who follows that thinking that they're like, it's their fault. It's Darwinism. But at the same time, like...
No, you can get got once, but once you and your peer group in college, you powwow through this thing, you come to a consensus as a peer group that, like...
This is a really good point. It's a really good point.
As my guy Nick
But
Hexum
you're not
once
wrong.
said...
Those are very good points, and I would hate for any, like, young kid to get into a hole when he's got his...
I thought I was smart enough to beat the books, but I was not betting anywhere near the amount that Trent was betting or is portraying that he bets, and I lost, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But my worry is that
there's a lack of transparency because are those bets even
well, that's
real?
a different conversation altogether. Because listen, who's the guy that with the brand Chelly? I want to say Chelgod.
Yeah.
There was one point where someone said to him like, "How are you betting this in the state that you're in right now?" And he responded saying like, well, I'm not.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And that to me that's upsetting. Like, listen, we deal with sportsbook sponsorships here. Pinnacle sponsors this channel. We deal with other sportsbook partners. They've never dropped any money into my account, nor would I honestly accept that. And I say that with you would accept that for sure, 100%. But I wouldn't, because like to me, part of creating content in the sports betting space is actually backing it with your own money. Yeah. If you're not willing to put your own money down on it yourself, then and you're advocating it to everyone else, that to me is like one of the shittiest things you can do.
But that's a problem because Drake.
Drake with steak?
No, Trent
Yes.
is in this area where like you could clearly tell he's like a gambler.
Yes.
Based on how he carries himself, just the terminology, like that he's had the ups and the downs of like all gamblers. And like you said, when sports betting sort of when regulation just hit, anyone who gambled could quickly sense a fish out of water.
Yeah. People
who are simply just doing gambling content because it was a way to make a new paycheck, or they were forced into it without any true experience, and you could a true sports bettor could smell that out instantly. Trent, like he's able to walk both lines, where like he's clearly a bettor, but to what extent are they all?
You could argue that he's a problem gamer.
That's
it's not even an argument.
Well, yeah.
That's what I was about to say.
There's always a chase. There's never like
I don't know. I don't want to say that for sure, but the image he gives off
is he like
Yeah,
either
no,
he's
that's-
playing a character of a problem gambler, or he is a problem
You're right,
gambler,
yeah.
and that's the problem.
and he probably is making enough through the company that it's
absolutely.
it's not an issue. But had he not, if he didn't have Book It and he was betting that type of stuff.
But he also portrays himself as a bettor.
I mean,
not a
listen,
problem
he doesn't
gambler.
even have to win or
He's an
lose the
entertainer.
bets.
Yeah.
Those videos, those TikToks, those are worth good money.
And that's the bottom line. He is an entertainer and not a gambler, but he portrays himself as a gambler. And I'm not saying he does it
But
on
he
purpose,
also doesn't portray
You're right.
himself as like a sharp who's got a model.
but
It's like, this guy's due.
That to me is so much worse.
It's
That's a
Sunday
million
night.
times
But
worse.
he's
I will argue Simon Hunter is a
doesn't-
million times worse than Trent because he's talking about his model number, the pros he's
Yeah,
dealing
but
with.
sorry. At least Trent, in that aspect, he's kind of transparent. Like, shit, it's Sunday night. I didn't have this pick 3 days ago.
Yeah.
It's the worst time to actually have to bet this game, but I'm betting it.
Yes. Yeah,
So
my question to him is, like, if I were to ask you what you do for a living, what would you tell people? Do you tell people you're a bettor or you're an entertainer? Because you're an entertainer, not a bettor. And I think that's where the line needs to be. You don't have to draw it for your audience, but like at least allude to it or make like people need to be aware of that. And like again, the problem is that we're not dealing with adults. We're dealing with literal 18, 19-year-old kids who watch this stuff, right?
there's different forms of wagertainment. Credit to Nick Costas, I believe he created
Coined
that
that
word.
one,
It's actually genius. There are different levels to it, and he is at the absolute like peak of wagertainment.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of us, so there's still like.
But you can argue if there's an argument to be made is like that peak line that's too far. Like
You could it's clearly problem gambling.
Yeah.
And that is, you can maybe that's less wagertainment than it should be.
Yeah, I'm with you. Speaking of wagertainment, George Riley Panagakis, GRP as he's known through the gambling Twitter community, made famous for writing down bets in his notebook, tracking himself, tracking other people, and just honestly producing some unique content. I'll call it out for what it is. Taking pictures of all the breakfasts he makes.
No, he doesn't make it.
That he goes out and gets himself.
No way he made those.
No, he doesn't make those breakfasts.
I don't know if he knows how to cook food.
Lots of stuff.
Maybe his mom made him.
He's picked a new target. It was Adam Chernoff of Right Angle Sports. He's now tracking all of Chernoff's picks. And whatever, I don't really care what the record is right now. I'm just interested in the fact that there's like kind of like a...
Worlds colliding here?
Kind of, right?
And so,
I go through cycles with GRP. I don't know how you guys are. Like, he came on the scene. I'm like, this guy's he's got some... he's interesting.
He's a character. He's a character.
And then I soon grew sick of him. Then he went through like another phase where he was going through the woods and he was putting boards down in the woods and recording it because his thought was if he went the next day and flipped the board, there would be snakes underneath there, and he loves snakes. And I thought this phase was very fascinating. Then he went through like another one, and I kind of unfollowed him. He's on the decline. And now this kind of like beef, so to speak, with Chernoff, I'm invested.
You gotta buy your GRP stocks
Yeah.
at the start of this one.
I need to put out there that really, to me, George can do no wrong. And I don't mean that like I don't see how insane some of his takes are or like how delusional he is, but really like I never lose sight. It's always entertainment first. He always, maybe like you, Rob, there's something like turned off, but he'll always win me back. He will always win me back. He starts a video. I don't care how annoyed the last one was. He starts a video with letting you know that he just showered, like gel.
How good his hair looks.
I am just in. I am just in. It just sets me up for what's coming. This is, I found, like, it's a good arc that he's taking.
He's just listening to Chernoff's podcast appearances over the course of the weekend, jotting down the picks. And
I think he's just jealous of anyone like with 2 segments on Vision. Like that is the origin story of this. Why is this guy getting multiple segments on Vision? I should be getting these multiple segments.
We had him on Forward Progress live watch along once, and he added it to his Twitter bio.
Yeah, we're not
like as seen as that on the hammer or whatever, and like. I guess I go through phases. I saw GRP in Vegas in August. We chatted a little bit. I think there is a jealousy component to it for sure. He wants to get out there. He's doing media appearances now. Anyone else that he sees in the media that he doesn't respect, he will call them out unfiltered. Unfiltered.
But Chernoff is an interesting target in the sense that he's like clearly does not appreciate the respect that it seems like gambling Twitter gives to Chernoff. I also, like, I'm never one to pay for a service. I know once you get involved in that, that's like, there's a spotlight on you and you better live up to a percentage. But I also really like Adam. Like, his story is incredibly fascinating.
Well, and for you it is, but for someone, like, GRP knows the history of Adam. He's talked about this before. And listen, I'm not here to air someone's personal history. Adam's talked about this before, and I think he likes to keep it low profile. But he started out like selling picks when he was like 15 or 16 years old under different aliases. Now, for me, I believe in second chances for people, personally. I don't think people should be held accountable for, I ran a covers infomercial, Jeff, when I worked with you at The Score, when I was 21 years old. That was my job. I needed that. Like, if I didn't have that job, I had nothing to fall back on. I didn't have a college degree. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. And I think some people hold that against Chernoff. Now, whether or not you think his NFL stuff is valuable is a different story. That's another conversation. But I think people question his character. I think that's part of what this is about for GRP, is like questioning the character. Picking him as a target is a unique one, for sure.
But I also like heel turn, because George is also a guy that people didn't like to begin with.
Yeah.
In that, I guess the content is interesting. Like, here's someone who is, for lack of, you could argue Chernoff's on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Many would argue, probably myself included, it's probably deserved over like his long-term. I mean, I don't care what the record is this year. GRP.
Well, also, like, you look at the sheet that he's marking down leans. I don't know if those count in or not.
So he did specify that he tracked 4 plays that weren't necessarily specifically given out as bets.
Yeah.
3 of which were leans. 1 of which was like something he really liked, and those plays are 2 and 2. So he actually specified that I am tracking leans. Leans are 2 and 1, and I did count those.
He is forensic detectiving how Chernoff portrayed the verbiage around what he says about the games. I find it fascinating. I like Adam. So it's like part of it is like awkward because there's like I really like George. Entertains me. But he's going at this guy I like, but I'm also excited to see like how this plays out and who George picks next year.
Okay, I had to stop. This is so funny to me because we're treating George like he's some criminal mastermind finding his next victim. I think he just. But
he kind of is. He
is picking a guy to track.
He dislikes a lot of people in the space.
I think he's just
he really does, and
for fun.
He's gone after a lot of females in the space, and whether or not that's like, discriminatory or that's I don't want to say, like, I'm not, but he's gone. I think he's picked a lot of fights with people that just there haven't been a lot of fights picked with.
He's picking on people who are like clearly in wagertainment roles that he is bothered by because his NFL expertise should be shared in those segments.
Yes.
Like when he's listening in the car to anything, he's clearly takes in a lot of content. It sounds like he listens to almost the daily lineup of a couple places.
Oh, yeah.
And he resents anyone getting paid to talk gambling. He really doesn't like women.
Yes.
I'll leave it like.
I was about to say I love George, but I can't say it after that follow-up. So, but why I love George is because, one, he is spiteful, and he is, two, a content, I would say, god. He understands the gambling Twitter niche.
He doesn't understand it.
No, but here's the thing. I think he does. I think he does in a way that, like, maybe he doesn't even understand.
He plays
that
into it
understands
for sure.
Like, but the notebook stuff, like, he could easily not. He's very much leaning into this stuff because people like it.
Do you know how much effort? Like, I could probably count on one hand, other than like watch this piece of content I made, which I'll like retweet instead of
quote tweet.
you know, like if I did a show or something, and I'll like just retweet it again. The amount of effort, or like how painstaking it is on probably, I couldn't count on two hands the amount of times in my life I've retweeted my own tweets.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
fair.
You have to think so highly of what you had to say, or you have to be so invested in the fact that, like, I think people just missed this one. Like, I got to give them a PM retweet of it. And the fact that he could be out there, like, third time today, fourth time today, I adore it.
I don't think he thinks this hard. I think he's just himself, and this is himself.
I think this is him.
Exactly who he is. I don't think there's any additional thought into retweeting stuff. Like all of us, if we were like retweeting our own posts, that would be like a conscious decision you make, and you'd think about it for a while. I just don't think he gives a shit. I think he
definitely does
his own stuff out.
He's called out BetStamp before for like the amount of I've tried to like explain to him how it works and why he doesn't care. The facts don't even matter. Like, to me, the problem I have with George is it's very much like pot calling the kettle black type of situation, right? He's going after all of these different content creators, being like, oh, this person's a losing bettor, don't trust this person's advice. Why should anyone be trusting George's advice? Like, what is George as a bettor? Because he thinks in his own head that he is some sort of advantage gambler, right? I mean, he tracks all his picks on a sheet, doesn't care about closing line value, doesn't care about getting good numbers. He's publicly spoken about this. So to me, it's like he's portraying himself as like some sort of industry expert. You don't get that? Like,
no,
to me, he's calling out other people for being like phonies, and I'm not saying he's a fraud or whatever, but like in his head, it feels like he thinks he's Billy Walters.
Yeah.
And he's not.
That's part of the reason I love him.
Okay,
though.
so that's part
like
of
the
derangement.
The derangement, the lack of like an intense self-awareness to no one who knows how the NFL works is living in the Midwest with their mom. Like, yes. I don't even mean that that's like very nice that he's there to help it. Like, I don't even mean that as a knock. But if you know how the NFL works with how much money you can get in on the NFL, you're just living a different life. You're not taking a year off of betting the NFL. I like waking up to George. I believe when George is posting those breakfasts, he has been at the casino all night. That is not the day starting. That is the day
he plays
closer
poker at nights, doesn't he? Yeah.
And he takes, I assume he's got a poker way. He, can take some drunk fishes or whatever at the table.
Oh, no, yeah.
I have no idea.
I'd love to see that in action. I would love to play poker.
But I think
with George.
those breakfast picks are like the end of the session. It's not like top of the morning to y'all.
Yeah. Yep, totally agree with you.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that. I think
No, you think he's getting up at 6 a.m.?
No. He's publicly said that he plays poker like at nights and stuff like that. That's there needs to be a documentary on this guy. But you know what? That's just feeding into the machine. He wants that so badly.
To all the haters, like, I can anecdotally say I know for a fact George pushes product. And what I mean by that is I know people who signed up for Circa Survivor just because like, obviously there's 14 million, the pot is huge, what's happening there? But they're like, no, I need to be in.
Yeah.
I want to be in the contest
With George.
that George is, like,
There's a part of.
Yeah.
You push his product. I love that. I love it. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
So I agree, like, Benson should, just massage George a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. He doesn't have to take his contracts, but just a little bit.
We wouldn't have a great circle back episode if we didn't talk about Taylor Mathis. I'll say the highlight of gambling Twitter right now in terms of the engagement that she's receiving. So Taylor Mathis, listen, I don't have exact numbers, but I want to say in the last month, she has more than doubled her following to almost 200,000 followers.
I just quickly looked before we hopped on here. From August of last year to August of this year, she gained 20,000 followers. From August of this year till the day of recording, she gained 100,000 followers.
Which, I mean, she's picked up the steam for walking bets. She
Absolutely.
just signed on with DraftKings as well. So things are going really well. I wouldn't really change a whole lot. This is very nitpicking, though. And she just happens to be the example of this one in particular. Sitting at the airport bar, chomping on a burger, enjoying the Brewers fall flat yet again. Muhahaha. Brewers end up winning the game 5-3, the one that she is sitting and watching. There's something that really bothers me with gambling Twitter and people who bet, where they have to tweet while the game is going on. How many times have you thought something was going to happen in a game? Jeff, you joined me for a live watch along last week. It was Mets and Brewers. They hit a home run. You got excited about that, but you didn't declare the game to be over type of situation. Nor is she doing that here. But Brewers fall flat again. It's close to. When will people learn to not tweet until the game is over? Just wait until
Don't tweet.
it's
Wait
done.
till it's done.
Here's what I do. It's an expert play for the Twitter cappers out there. Load up 2 different tweets, put it in the drafts, one for a winner, one for a loser, and then you're good to go.
This is actually more embarrassing than just that. This is an even worse situation. I can't even believe you just recommended that.
That's a great way to go
Horrible
about
take.
it, because what are you guys talking about? You have it's like preparing for something. You're preparing for the best case scenario and the worst case scenario, and you have it ready to go no matter what.
I actually
You guys-
don't even
Why
know-
do you have to tweet?
I actually don't
like,
even know if he's joking or not right now. I can't
You guys
tell.
would be shocked to see my drafts. That's what I'll say.
Why do you have
I mean,
to
I'm
tweet
not
like
shocked
that,
to see
though?
the following you have on Twitter. I'll tell you that. Maybe the drafts aren't working for you like they are for these tweets are working for.
Listen,
Taylor.
if I had the difference between me and T Mathis,
we-
I'll tell you, I got 2 reasons why Taylor Mathis has like 100x the following I have.
Yeah.
2 very large, big reasons.
Yes, I would agree.
Firstly, I mean, I would argue, like, I don't know, it almost feels like we're trying to force her into the show.
no, there's
by
going to be
calling
wait, listen. No.
her out.
you
Like,
can't-
this is
no,
bad,
no,
but, like, I don't know. I actually really like Taylor.
Yeah.
Almost in the same way that
So
I
do
really
I.
like George.
Okay.
And in the same way that, like, sometimes I will reply to George with a sarcastic comment, like, I love George.
Yeah.
Sometimes I might reply to Taylor with a sarcastic comment. I'm a big fan of Taylor. I would also argue she has, like, she almost suffers from, like, the same delusions as George, though.
In which sense?
Like, I think she's always being very, very herself.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And that sometimes, like, that she can, I don't know how I'm trying to say this. I just think that she is just like a younger, hotter George. Just with,
I
like, a
feel like-
different angle.
I feel like she knows what she's doing. Like,
Oh, she
I-
100% does.
She understands, like, her own brand, her content.
Yes.
And I'm not, like, criticizing that. I think that's fine. Like, there's no issue with that. The only issue would be just, like, kind of, playing dumbest, potentially, if she's not taken seriously by professional sports
Well,
bettors.
that-
I think that she should come to that recognition. I don't have an issue with the content and the way that it is. And
Well,
issues.
walking bets. So there was the walking bets beef a few months ago. Like, who
Yeah.
invented walking bets? I honestly don't give a shit. Walking bets caused Taylor Mathis to explode, and all she's
Incredible.
doing. I mean, listen, Taylor Mathis is a good-looking woman. You can see by the comments from on the walking bets. There's a lot
You'll
of people
see the next segment.
who are thirsty for that. And on top of that, she embraces it. She responds to these people. She knows exactly what she's doing, and leans into it. And she's going to be huge. She's already huge. She's going to be.
She's
enormous.
literally following the Paige Sporanic playbook.
Yes,
100%.
And Paige would like make a joke, go after it. Like
Yes.
I'm doing great here. I guess it just does. There is a bit of like when she makes it like she doesn't understand
Yes.
what she's doing. That I think's a little weird, but she's
well,
smart
the things
in
I
that.
find, the
She's-
things personally
she's
that I
good.
find weird are like, when you lean into this, which by the way, I think is totally fine.
You should.
And it's
I
totally
agree, yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And it's totally allowed. And we are, Rob, I mean, I don't know about Jason, so I'm happy he agrees. But, you know, we are of an age where, like, I don't know, like, we were, like, of the Maxim generation.
Dude, my friends who don't even bet on sports are posting like Taylor Mathis's
So,
videos
like,
and WhatsApp chats
all the
every single
power-
day. Like she's reaching an audience outside of sports.
All the
betting.
power to her. All the power to her. You got it. Use it. Let's go.
100%. But that one challenge,
I
and
don't
the
even
one
care. You
issue.
don't even have to post odds. Like, no one gives a shit.
So, I mean, I kind of do. It bothers me a little bit. Like,
No,
if you're going to
but-
give picks, have some odds associated with that. I feel strongly about that.
But she's not like, oh, I just ran it. And this
But the problem, Jeff, is
all
for
her
me,
picks
like,
are vibes, and she acknowledges that. Oh,
Well,
if
she-
you
but
can't
she-
pick it up that the picks are vibes, as opposed to like this guy. This,
no, of course, I agree with you. But she also wants to be taken seriously from a pick standpoint.
Well,
And that-
she'll figure that out.
I know, but right now she does. She's been emotional about it before. She's filmed videos where like she wants
that's
to be.
the thing.
And it's
I don't
really
think she'll do that again.
maybe
I
not.
think she learned.
Yeah.
I'm naive enough to think that she's like gotten spoken to. Maybe since DraftKings,
Yeah.
she's got an agent. She's gonna, like you said, she's gonna
Yes.
blow up. She's gonna lean into it.
And she should.
She can't. What she can't do. Not that it matters, because she won't like. She's got her army of loyalists, and even if she annoys like a true gambler or someone that does respected gambling content, whatever that is, I don't think anyone actually cares.
Yeah.
And she's just got to be like, you can't at the same time scream like, respect me, I'm serious, and then have articles show up in Playboy and be like, I really want to be in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Like she'll learn not to talk
Some
out
might
of both
argue
sides.
that you should be able to do that, but the
But she's
perception
talking out
from
of
the
both
outside,
sides of her mouth.
Yes.
And that I think bothers, can be bothersome. But she's gonna.
So my thing is that if you want to be a respected bettor or respected analyst in the space, just because you have a large following doesn't make you that. You have to do the steps to kind of get there and prove to people that you are respected in a way that like you do know, like, I don't know, like that you do run a model, you do like X's and O's analysis if you're talking about football, or like you have something that contributes value outside of just your appearance. And I'm not saying she doesn't have stuff that contributes value, but you can't just get big based off of your appearance and then say, hey, I have a large following, I am now an analyst, and expect people to respect your
So
analysis on stuff.
I've seen people go after her for the picks before, and her response is like, I spend hours every day researching the picks.
That's bullshit.
Well,
I don't
even-
buy that for a
I
second.
actually
buy that
do
either.
buy
And
it. I do buy it. However, that doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't make you.
No, there's
doesn't
no
make-
way
yeah.
you spend hours researching and then give picks without lines.
Well, it
Like,
depends.
I don't think
it could
those
just be a
things-
lack of awareness
Yeah.
or subject matter expertise, right? She could definitely spend 2 or 3 hours every morning researching picks. First of all, that's not going to make you good at betting.
Yep.
It's never. This is like the flaw that most recreational bettors have is like, I can put in the work. I could spend extra time doing this and I'll get above it. But the real challenge is it's really hard to lean into walking bets and your appearance and have people take you seriously at the same. It's an extreme challenge. And like, I don't care. Like,
And that's an age-old challenge for any woman who would look like Taylor
course.
in any line of
Yes.
of work. Like forgetting like the male-dominated aspect of sports betting, like in any walk of life.
I just think there needs to be like a level of self-awareness, right? Like, if you're going to lean into that, which by
I
the
think
way,
she's been coached up.
I don't know.
I believe it.
I talked to Taylor at Bet Bash. I only chatted with her for 10 minutes.
She's naive.
She's exploded
being-
since then.
yeah,
though. It's a lot. I feel like a lot has changed. Since
I honestly like.
Small amount.
She
of time.
probably, like, whether it be DraftKings or almost still maybe doing something with Barstool. Like, I have no doubt, like, if she does something with Barstool, Portnoy is going to spend 25 minutes with her on the phone being like, you gotta, like, why? Is that, like, if you don't see it, then we're not a good fit.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to see it. I think in the last, like, almost 6 weeks or from it going, I believe she's probably worthy of it because she's gonna blow up. Like, gotten a lot of good professional advice.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against it. Like, you got it, use it.
Yeah, I agree.
You've got an army of followers.
Yeah, lean into it.
Lean into it.
Yeah.
My biggest problem with this tweet right here, though, just getting back to this, is she exposed herself, number one. So, sitting at the airport bar, chopping on a burger.
Wait. Before you exposed yourself too.
Why?
Because you responded like immediately to this tweet.
Yeah, well, okay. Listen, just because I have tweet notifications on for Taylor doesn't mean that like it's a bad thing. Like I wanna be like the social currency you gain from sending her videos to group chats is like you get good social currency in the friend group. So I have the notifications.
Which is exactly why she's already enormous and will continue to grow.
Exactly, because I instantly share that stuff.
I don't agree at all with this, by the way. I don't.
What don't you agree with?
You get good social currency for sharing her videos in the group chat. I would roast it.
I can hear where he's coming from.
Absolutely, I get good social currency with the boys. So that's
you don't understand that? Why that would be?
It's like I understand.
I
like,
usually try to offer tweets that like make the boys laugh. Not get them a little charged up. But no, we've all got we've all got our roles in the group chat.
I like that. I agree with
obviously
Jeff.
yours is
No, that's not my only role. That's not my only role. My role is to be on the cutting edge of of being just chronically online. That's my role in my group chat. Is I'm the one who's chronically online.
Now I interrupted you, and you had some sort of take on the original tweet.
Well, she
exposed herself.
She exposed herself. How long before the flight did you get to the airport?
She was there quite a while before. If she has time to take in a baseball game and chomp on
Eat a burger.
Which I've never heard Jeff's stance on this. We've talked about this ad nauseum on this channel before. You have you're a family man. You have 3 kids. Yeah, I assume you get to the airport pretty early because of the 3 kids.
Yeah, I'm at the stage in my life where if I'm like flying by myself, we're just giving her to the gate. But with the 3 kids, I'm kind of like the neurotic dad.
Yes.
Of course.
Like, that's a different story. But you push the limits if you're flying by yourself.
Yeah, but I also find, like, you can't put a price on peace of mind.
You can put a price on peace of mind.
That's how I feel.
No, sure, some people can. It's the same reason the Chargers didn't trade Michael Turner. Like, you cannot put a price.
I was wondering when a Chargers reference is going to come.
You cannot put a price on peace of mind. And I don't mind. I mean, listen, now.
There are so many practices and systems in place at like every major North American airport for you not to miss your flight.
Yes.
They go out of their way to get you to your flight on time. They do.
I agree,
You're not missing your flight.
Okay, I'm one of these people, 99, if I can, I just like to fly first thing in the morning.
I love
because that makes you like not linger, you're not fighting this battle
it's easy,
of
man.
time. It's like going to the dentist. It's kind of a bit of an annoying experience. So like, I'm one of these people, like if I have like a 5 p.m. flight, it'll mentally consume me the whole day. So I like getting on that plane.
Morning flight's good, but then you land and you can't check in a lot of the North American
but
markets.
morning flight's good, especially when you live somewhere cold and bad weather. If there are delays.
Good point.
Well, actually, sometimes you can get.
Screwed.
It's actually a shit show because they could send out the other ones.
Yes.
If your flight's at 11, though, what time are you showing up?
Depends where you're going. If it's international, if it's Canadian flight,
like 2 to 3 hours. Is that too much?
First of all, for me, when I fly, so we're in Toronto, but Pearson Airport, you can check the wait times online before you go. Now I only live 10 minutes from the airport, so I kind of am lucky from that. But I will push it. There would be times where I left to go to the airport an hour before my flight, and I've gotten.
I think that all these takes are so insane. I show up early. I show up like 2.5 hours early.
So now you can drink your airport beer, the most overrated beer, by the way.
Listen,
most expensive. I just drink a beer on my couch at home before I leave.
It's not even about that. It's just I don't mind being there, American flight, I'll use the NPC app so that I bypass a lot of the line. If you don't do that, my God.
Yeah,
has that been a Plus EV move of the week?
No,
yet?
you're out to lunch
NPC
if you don't
app?
use NPC. When it's going to the US, it's a very, you get
NPC app, there's a line, so basically if you're flying out of Canada into the US, you go through US customs before you leave Canada.
Yeah.
So instead of lining up to go through the customs, there's an app where you can enter your information beforehand called NPC. I don't know why I'm sharing this. This should be gatekept, to be honest, by people.
There's signs everywhere at the airport. I don't know how.
Exactly.
I've never heard of it.
You know what? My wife does.
I don't know. I shouldn't share anymore because if you don't know, then you don't deserve to use it. Anyways, you wait.
I'm out of the loop.
You don't have any wait time compared to potentially waiting in line. But I don't mind being there 2 hours early and not having to worry at all about anything going wrong.
It's all relative, though. Like, if you're going on a weekend or, like, just, like, the day that school's out for Christmas break, you got to maybe treat it differently than if I'm going on a...
Yes. There's a science to it, Jeff. There's a science to it.
Too many variables.
There's a lot of variables, but it's still a science, and you can predict it.
Bottom line is I want to know when she gets to the airport because she never ended up responding to me. So if the nails can do one thing for us here,
she seems like if you fly a lot, you probably are more likely to push the boundaries on the wait time because you're more confident in the wait times and such. If you don't fly that often, like myself, I'd rather just be safe in those times. So I feel like she usually would push it a little bit with wait times.
Do you guys think that the soft reveal, as we're going to call it, of
soft launch, as the kids say?
I'll preface this a bit. So she posted this. This was the tweet that she posted here, but within the video underneath the tweet, she mentioned a potential boyfriend.
There's been some pictures that have been floating around.
I can't believe we used the Brewers tweet just to set up this.
The soft launch of the boy.
Can I
just quickly get mad at Jacob for not having a picture up? Like, what are we doing? We gotta see the outfit. We gotta know what she was wearing.
Listen, we're here to have an intellectual conversation about this rather than
all right. Listen,
fawn over the photos.
The soft launch is like the only speed. Like it's a small speed bump in the road. It's a mistake.
Big mistake.
It's a mistake for Taylor. I don't want to tell her how to live her life, and maybe she's really into Roberto Coin 1 over here or whoever it was. But
I think those are the earrings.
I think that's a company or someone.
So it's the picture. It was just a picture of the guy. Yeah.
So she mentioned him in the video.
He's not in it. He's not in the
video. She mentioned him, and there are now pictures floating around. Shout out to Big Content Guy on Twitter.
I'm a little uncomfortable.
Why?
Well, I don't know.
It's like
it exists. It's a public space.
We're talking about
X is a public space.
No difference than an A-list celebrity. We're talking about Sabrina Carpenter and Barry, whatever the heck.
We're just asking if it's bad for the brand.
Absolutely.
Reveal she has a boyfriend.
We're not revealing.
I don't know why I read this tweet.
We're not revealing.
By the way,
it's been revealed. It's been revealed.
Yeah. We're not revealing.
Yeah. No, I don't.
And if you read the replies to this tweet, everyone is mentioning this as well.
Yes.
A lot of people are mentioning this.
She is at the point where, like, her tweets are valuable.
Yes.
Right?
Big time.
She's blowing up. She should not be tweeting for free. Nothing in Taylor's life probably comes for free. You can see she got Aruba is lovely.
Aruba's gorgeous.
It is lovely. Probably my favorite of that consortium of little islands there. She got a trip, a watch, earrings.
Yeah.
Just like if I wanted her to promote my brand, it would cost me a lot of money. Buddy paid a fucking fortune for that reveal.
Yeah.
But good for him. Good for him. I will say it's probably caused a lot of like bald dudes in her comments.
She lost some followers.
I might shave my head.
It's probably caused a lot of like, got like bald dudes to hit the gym or start a P90X regime. But
if you unfollow somebody because they reveal they have a boyfriend, I think.
Well, it depends on what you're following for in the first place.
But those people exist. That's the problem. And you have to lean into that audience.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
No.
Because
do you want that audience, though? I feel like I kind of care about the audience I have, the audience I create.
She would not be posting Walking Bets video every single day if she cared about that being her audience.
If that boyfriend shows up in the Walking Bets videos at any point, oh man, that's going to be there's going to be a revolt that happens at that point.
He probably demanded a share.
That's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm worried about.
Demanded that, like,
in defense of Taylor, like, what if this guy asked to be put on? Did he ask to be mentioned?
Well, we're not going to know the details. Maybe we'll have Taylor on at some point in the
We'll
future.
never know.
We'll
But
get to
if
the
he
bottom of the
did,
details.
that is bad. That is bad news for the relationship.
I don't think somebody.
I think that's
I think it
very-
is. It's very egotistical of him to
You
say
have to have an
not be
understanding.
comfortable in your
I'm
significant
making
other.
this up. I know nothing.
If you're
That's
dating
the man
somebody who's like this, who clearly,
I wouldn't want to be mentioned at all.
I was surprised.
Do your thing. Don't worry
all
about
I'll
me.
say is first of all, I've surprised myself. I actually have been calling this guy Roberto for the last week or so because I didn't realize the earrings
Rob,
were Roberto.
you reveal yourself to be a boomer.
Yes,
so
100%.
often.
I didn't
Every
read
time
the
you're on
tweet well
camera.
enough. I'm like, I saw a name in the tweet. I'm like, oh, this guy Roberto.
I find it very weird to also be like adding the brands.
Well, I think that's because
That's ad. It's
gotta be.
This is not a free tweet.
love my new watch and earrings. I wonder where she got them from.
This is
The
not a free
dude.
tweet. She
No,
got paid
but she
for
got
this
them
tweet.
from. Oh,
this
did
is
she
a
get it from
promo.
the dude? I thought it was from the. I thought these brands gave it to
We're
her.
so bad at this.
This is
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Jeff, you were saying that she shouldn't tweet for free. This is not a free tweet.
That's
These
what
are-
I mean.
Yeah.
She doesn't
She got
tweet
sent
for
this
free.
stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the picture didn't come for free. Buddy treated her
Oh, I see
to
what
a
you're saying.
fantastic.
You think he bought this for her?
No. The brands
No,
sent her
I'm
this
saying that like he had done enough
To earn the
to
picture.
earn that like she had to then for his friend like to get the public thing. Your thinking is pretty old school in that like a pretty like a very like a
Wow, he's calling you a boomer now.
no, I just mean that like you would hear stories of that back in the day, like the pretty girl or the cute boy would have to like hide their real life
Yeah.
relation. Like it wouldn't be good for business. But I don't. The guys
yeah,
that follow.
I think it's fine.
She
No,
actually
I
lost
actually,
it's
I
fine.
actually
followers.
kind of
She
agree
did
with.
this.
So
What's the added value? What is the added value of mentioning this?
No, there's no added value,
She's
but she's
as
just-
hot as it comes right now in terms of audience
Like,
growth.
literally
I don't
and
actually believe
figuratively.
this is going to set it back. By the way,
No,
but,
I
don't
but it's
either.
like, but like,
I think this is a nothing burger.
But the risk of revealing this was nowhere near the reward. There was zero reward, zero gain for doing so.
well, maybe like we underestimate for her. It might be valuable. Maybe she's in like an actual serious relationship
Maybe.
and she cares about the person, and for her, like
She wanted to do that.
She
But
just want, yeah.
Listen, if this was my
I don't
significant
think
other,
I don't think her rate is going down.
Okay,
at
fair.
the moment.
All I would
I
say
don't
is-
think her rate
Agreed.
to promote something, or I don't think DraftKings hit her up to be like, or she's in the negotiations like this is bad because we needed like Jeff Nadeau needed to think that you're single. Like I don't think this affects her rate one bit. And of like 800 losers unfollow, like who gives a shit?
But that is the danger of Twitter is that you lose that one share, you lose that one like, you lose that one.
Well, it's a
retweet.
danger
I'd
for
say-
you, dude.
I would
It's
say-
not a danger for her. She's getting like 5 million impressions on
You know
most
what?
of these tweets.
If sometimes my criticism of her would be like a lot of people, stop being so fucking phony, then, just showing a true reveal, I can't knock that. I can't. And I don't think it hurts the brand. I really...
I think we're overthinking this again.
Yeah, this
I
is-
don't think this is.
I think we just really wanted to talk about Taylor or something.
No, we
speak for yourself.
Well, part of it is, I'm sorry, but if we're doing a weekend review on gambling Twitter, what's hot in gambling Twitter right now is nothing. There's nothing bigger. I mean, the impressions are absurdly.
You're
through the
definitely
roof
right. I don't think I've seen anything bigger than. Then she's
foul,
getting
man.
5 million
yeah, I
impressions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's incredible.
What
She's
else? What
killing it.
did you think I was talking?
I thought you were going towards some sort of sexual.
No.
innuendo there.
That was-
Because you think like that.
That is
not.
never my intention.
This has been the debut episode of Circle Back. Leave us comments down below. Let us know if you enjoyed the show, what you would change, if anything. Also, give us your feedback on some of the stuff that we discussed on the show today. On your way out the door, make sure you smash that like button down below. Subscribe here to Circles Off. We will be back next week talking about gambling Twitter once more. Peace out.